Good evening.
Yep,
I'll tell you in a minute.
the Ports and Redevelopment and Housing Authority Board of Commissioners meetings are held the third Thursday of each month at 5 o'clock here at the main office, 3116 South Street, unless otherwise noted. So we have a quorum and all members of the public are welcome to attend. So Delise, if you could go with the roll, please.
Commissioner Cost. Here. Commissioner Morgan. Here. Commissioner Pickens.
Here.
Commissioner Prince.
Here.
Commissioner Wright.
Here.
Vice Chair Wicks.
Here.
Chair Lalonde.
Here. You have in front of you the minutes, and Delise had sent it out electronically, the minutes from the November 10th, 2022 meeting. I'll take a motion for approval. Yeah, got a motion, Sean. A second, thank you. Delise?
Commissioner Cost.
Yeah.
Commissioner Morgan.
Yes.
Commissioner Pickens.
Yes.
Commissioner Prince.
Yes.
Commissioner Wright.
Yes.
Vice Chair Wicks.
Yes.
Chair Lalonde.
Yes. I'm gonna have, Lisa's gonna come up and, we're gonna start tying up the, move to work, program that we have. This is of course, a path we've been going down now for a good 2.5 years. I think we've been briefed, at least 3 or 4 times on it. We had the consultant come in to talk to us about it. We've had several meetings, meetings in the newspapers planned for the MTW. I most recently attended the resident advisory board that we had last week. We also presented, made sure they were fully briefed on the move to work supplement. So the final thing we have to do is put it into our 5-year plan. All right. So as you know, we were one of the 10 agencies in the United States that were chosen for this MTW. And this is where we have approved as a group where we want to go, but we have to make sure we do the final administrative stuff. So Alicia, you're up.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay, so some of you all, most of you all have been with me through the agency plan process and the move to work supplement. So this is not new to you. However, Ms. Morgan, I will go through details with you. If I'm going too fast, just let me know, okay? So our agency plan is required for all agencies that are administering the Housing Choice Voucher Program and public housing program. It's basically just a guide of how we're going to perform our policies and activities that we plan for the year. It's basically a source of information for HUD, the residents, and us. So the process is we have to draft a plan, which you all were emailed that plan. Then we have a public hearing, which was held on Monday. We also have to advertise in the paper and on the website. And then we have a 45-day comment period. And we met with the resident advisory board on December the 6th, and we had the public hearing again on December the. Yes,
How many people from the advisory board was it?
the red. I want to say it was 4.
That's
Okay.
better than
Yeah,
that.
it was good. It was good. I really appreciate them being here. So I personally attended the meeting because I want to make sure that they were.
Yeah, and I'm just checking because that's been an issue.
Yeah,
It
I'm
is.
sure it has.
And their comments will be included in the plan as well as the comments from the public hearing on Monday. Oh, no, going back, I'm sorry. Okay, so there are 3 parts to the PHA plan. One we submit every 5 years, and then one we submit annually. And new, because we're moved to work agency, we now have to submit a move to work supplement. So 3 parts. These are our goals, as you know, for the Housing Authority to expand the supply of assisted housing, improve the quality of assisted housing, increase assisted housing choices, and improve the community quality of life. So all of our activities, you know, we aim to make sure that we meet those goals. Just a couple of ongoing activities that we're looking to carry on into 2023. Our Lexington Place seniors, that would be for those that are 62 and up, and that would be adjacent to the Lexington Place community. So we're looking forward to begin construction in that late 2023, and hopefully it'll be completed sometime 24, maybe 25. We completed and we plan to move forward this year with 6 additional Portsmouth Senior Home Rehab programs. That is where we rehab senior homes that are 62 and up in the city. and we repair related health and safety issues and weatherization and accessibility. So we were able to, move forward with 6, and we're looking to do 6 more this year. Of course, you all know we received approval for the demolition of Swanson. We have not been able to relocate all of the families, so we're looking to hopefully have all of those families relocated by 2023, spring of 2023. We received 18 emergency housing vouchers. We have 14 under lease, and so we're looking to get the other 4 leased up in 2023.
And the relocation vouchers include those
No, that's a separate pot.
separate?
Yeah, that's. So one of the things that has been challenging for our residents is just finding housing is not available. So we're going to do our part to recruit additional landlords. We're offering incentives of $500 for new landlords. And then we're gonna offer incentives for existing landlords who put any new housing on our program. So that is one way we're looking to recruit landlords for our program. And we will continue to do that in 2023. Capital funds, we received in 2022, $2.2 million. We have not received our allocation for 2023, but as you all know, that has to be used for related capital expenses. So we're going to continue to do in 2023 what we've done in 2022. So that is improve the modernization of public housing units, upgrading and replacing flooring, appliances, HVAC units, etc. Okay, so included in the plan is also the administrative plan and the public housing ACOT plan. And the admin plan pretty much governs how we administer the housing choice voucher program. And the ACOT gives us guidelines for the public housing. So there are a few changes to the ACOT. So Ms. Jenkins, our Director of Asset Management, will tell you those changes.
Just had a few changes. Some of these you're already implementing. Under Social Security SSI benefits, photocopies and of Social Security checks or bank statements are no longer acceptable forms of verifications. We added a new policy under non-emergency entries to state, except for emergencies, management will not enter the dwelling unit to perform repairs where a pet resides unless someone is there. Under emergency transfer procedures, added a new policy stating any condition that would produce an emergency work order would qualify a family for an emergency transfer if the repairs cannot be made within 24 hours, and we're already doing that. Under over-income families, added additional policy stating the PHA has the discretion to adopt a policy allowing termination of tenancy for families whose income exceeds the limit for the program eligibility. Under utility allowance revisions, it added when establishing new utility allowances, the PHA must include all changes, which we do currently. Added new policy under payment thresholds, executions of the agreements. It states all repayment agreements must be in writing, dated, and signed by both families and the PHA. We're currently doing that as well. Under record keeping, record retention, it states the PHA must maintain enterprise income verification reports in the tenant's file for the duration of the tenancy, but not for a period to exceed 3 years from the EOP, which is end of participation.
Questions, anybody?
I have a question. You said the SSI statements are no longer
Copies.
copies. It has to be originals. Okay.
How often do we do income verification?
Every time we recertify.
Okay.
Or at interim.
Oh, it could be, if the income go up or down, we may have to, be okay too.
Okay. All right, Val, thank you. That's what you still up?
Oh, Ms. Parker is going to give the update for the admin.
Okay.
To delay the.
And these were HUD recommendations?
Yeah, so we
To do-
subscribe to Nan McKay, model, and so anytime throughout the year, HUD makes changes, they automatically provide them to us, so we can update them.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, basically, the changes that I've explained, I went chapter by chapter, to give a brief summary. There was a significant amount of change relative to gender throughout the admin plan. There was an adding of, they and them and theirs relative to gender. There also, in chapter 3, when denying admissions, that, well, I'll read mine. HUD's EIV system, the PHA provided the families with a copy of an EIV debt. Will provide a copy of the EIV debt owed and determination report. So we will be providing the families those reports. In chapter 5, if the briefing of the PHA, any briefing of a PHA must take the steps to ensure effective communications, where it's, here it's including that a person with disabilities definitely has adequate communication during a briefing. Any family that self-certifies, it is basically saying that the housing authority will accept an adequate form of self-certification and it should be in writing, and the person whose information that's being certified will have to sign that.
Sure.
Sir, John?
The pronouns, was that a HUD regulation?
All of these are heard.
You want to tell them what EID stand for, and when you talk about EID debt, how that is, information is, put in the system.
Could you say that again?
See, what's EIV stand for?
Earned income verification.
And also you want to explain to them what the EID debt,
Enterprise income verification.
how that is put into the system and why it's put into the system.
I'm sorry, Ms. Lane, I couldn't.
How in EID, why the income is put into the system, and if a person don't have debt at the old, why that debt is put in. You want to explain
Is
to
to calculate their rent. And their portion of their rent for the family.
So I think what Mr. Bland asked, is that the EIV is used to basically verify income. So HUD puts the information in there, for their income. And so we kind of reference it when we're looking at our interims and annuals to see if what we have matches up with the EIV. So it's just a system that HUD uses. So it's
This
Oh,
generally
and the
a
debt, it also
quarter or so
includes the debt.
behind.
Yeah.
So any debt that is owed to a housing authority, it is included in that system as well.
And the reason for that is because sometimes a tenant may move, and Ms. Wright probably knows this, the tenant could move from one housing authority to another and left a debt behind.
Yeah.
So housing
It's
authority,
a catch-all.
And they
Yeah.
can track.
Yeah.
Even from another city.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
state.
Wherever you move, that's when it.
So a good example is, a person transferred from Chesapeake to Portsmouth and they were, yeah, and they had a bad debt. Generally, you can't transfer because we're kind of stopping you in your tracks, but if you have a bad debt in there, the other PHA should be able to see it. We're required to put bad debt. So if you had a repayment agreement and you didn't pay it, that bad debt is going into the system. So anywhere across the US, they'll see it.
They catch it.
Yeah.
What about the self-certification? Is there a format that you give them that they,
With self-certification, it's saying that if they put it in writing, they have to sign, the person has to sign. And that's after we've gone through other avenues of collecting information. They can self-certify.
But the sentence that you had said it had to be an acceptable form to
Yes.
the PHA. So do we have a form that they have to fill out? I mean, is there a standard form we have?
We have a standard form.
We have a standard
Yeah,
form.
we have a standard form, and a lot of these things we're already doing.
Yeah.
Nam McKay had just included it in
Okay.
in our policy. But a lot of this, you'll see that we
But
already.
it appears that the more important thing is now they have to sign.
Yeah.
They have to sign for it.
With the person, it may not be the head of household just signing, but the person that is verifying
Sure,
the income that's being verified
sure.
is signing.
okay.
Okay, in chapter 7, this one, verification of earned income. The housing authority, we would take 2 of their most current and consecutive pay stubs. And this is clarifying that at our discretion, we can request additional information relative to their income beyond that. In chapter 10,
I'm sorry, I have a question on that. You said the 2 most current. So you no longer have to have the 6 consecutive?
well, we have, that's at a minimum, that's HUD's overall, but per our agency, we are requesting the 6, but this is the minimum amount.
Amount that you will
And
accept.
it's saying that we can request beyond that, so it's the
Okay,
change.
because I didn't see that language in there when you saying minimum, I'm just saying 2 most current consecutive pay stubs. It's not saying what you're saying.
Okay,
So maybe that needs to be sort of kind of
Included.
clarified and it needs to be in there.
Right now, we do the 6 pay stubs. That's what we'll be doing. Like I said, a lot of these we do.
I understand, but the wording here doesn't clarify that you have to have a minimum of
So the
2.
person, average
Sure.
person, I would read that and say, oh, I only have to give you
Yeah.
2.
Right.
So can we include that?
so, in chapter 10, secure emails will be used for correspondence relative to, and relative to sending emails, relative to portability. Secure emails will be used. The initial housing authority's decision as to whether to accept late billing will be based on the internal PHA's factors, including the initial leasing or funding status, among other consideration as to whether to accept late billing will be if the family includes a person with disability. In chapter 13, such covered individuals, and this is a abbreviation of the chapter and of the topic, and when these were written. So covered individuals may not have any direct or indirect interest in the HAP contract or in any benefit or payment under the contract, including the interests of the immediate family under such immediate family of such covered individual, meaning anyone receiving assistance shouldn't have a direct interest in that, which the landlord. Immediate family means the spouse, the parent, including step-parent, child, including a stepchild, grandparent, child, grandchild, sister or brother, including a stepsister and stepbrother of any covered individual.
So on the late billing, do we charge them? We don't charge them any fees, penalties for late billing, interest. We just allow them a late payment.
You're collecting the actual charges that were given is no additional fees.
No additional fees, no penalties.
So with this chapter 15, this was chapter, basically the entire chapter was kind of rewritten, revamped, and it included the model plan for special housing types, which would be chapter 15. Chapter 17, project big voucher units that house eligible youth receiving FUPs and FYP,
What
which
is
is
that?
Family Unification Program, and the Foster Youth Independence Program. Is the assistants are also covered by 10% exception authority if the units are under a half contract, but a half contract that became effective after December the 27th, 2020. If the unit is occupied by an eligible youth receiving the same services. So, and it's just, it's given a date for when information was changed, and it's explaining that after the date of December the 27th, the 10% exception authority would apply, and after that, it would not. It would be in contrast to that.
So I'm confused on that one too. I understand that 10% as it relates to PBVs.
So it's really the, it's if they're housed in those units that classifies that. For example, if they leased up in a project-based voucher and they had that.
Okay. As it relates to PBVs.
Yes,
So you're saying, FYI, I'm not understanding fostering youth independence, they have an actual voucher.
yes,
A PBV is where the voucher is tied to the project.
yes.
So you can't take a regular voucher and go to a PBV. So is it two different, I'm not sure. I don't know, maybe I'm a little lost.
The foster and youth, they have, tenant vouchers. So
They do.
get to tenant vouchers. So we have 14 up, and then we have 2, that are FY.
So where's the 10% exception is relates to what? Exception to,
To
The
the
tenant.
vouchers, yes. Because they don't have PPP.
I still see a lot of, I still see a lot of confusion here. Make it
The,
just-
the,
make it
the
just-
tenant is separate from the,
Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
project.
so you're getting the 10% on the separate voucher.
Yes,
Yes.
after that particular date, that is insurance.
So yes, everybody's comfortable?
Well, I don't think we're comfortable, but
Okay, but it is an understanding.
it's,
what the new
it's,
rule
it's
is.
there.
The hood.
Yes, I understand.
Yeah, and what we can do is, at the next meeting, we can do a flow chart to kind of lay it out better. Than what we have up here for you,
Okay.
so that you'll be able to see it better.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Sounds good.
Okay, chapter 18. I won't mess it up. Chapter 18. Okay, chapter 18, the lease must specify what happens if the family elects to remain in its unit after increasing its income such that it requires zero habits. So it's saying that basically it should be specified what happened for the families. And per the red use agreement, the owner may charge the family a rent that does not exceed 30% of 80% of the area median, meaning that if they're at zero half, they may be charged the regular cost of their rent that the landlord is offering at that unit. If a tenant is residing in a converting project and has not previously provided the security deposit, then the owner may collect a security deposit at the same time of the initial rent. The family's right to choose mobility under RAD PBV, the choice mobility option provides family with the opportunity to move with continued assistance anytime after 12 months of occupancy. All residents in converted properties should be aware of their housing and mobility rights and of the opportunity and of their options in a range of neighborhoods.
I do apologize. With MTW, it gives you more flexibility to do things a little bit different than you would normally do under the regular HCB program, so my apologies, I've just sort of kind of let that get past me. Because we're talking about move to work, and I'm thinking the regular program, so my humble.
Okay,
So you get this flexibility to do stuff like this. Okay.
Brad PVV contract rents are adjusted directly, then contract rents in the standard PVV program. At each annual anniversary, the half contract that is applied to the parent contract rent less the portion of the rent paid for debt services. The rent may not exceed the reasonable rent, so that's when we do rent reasonableness for each of the units. The rent cannot exceed what is determined rent reasonable. Any non-RAD of PVV units located in the same covered project are subject to terms of the phase-in provision. And we had a chapter 19 that was added in, and that basically covered, it was generalized with any of the special vouchers. It was just giving definition and explanation of all of the types of special vouchers in the program.
The very first one there about folks that have zero HAP, do we have a lot of those that are not receiving any assistance whatsoever?
We have participants who receive zero HAP, and there's a transition, a 6-month
Yeah,
transition.
what would be the reason why they would,
Their income, increase in their income.
I understand, but why would they stay in?
Because there's a transition.
It's all income.
Well, HUD says that on the regular program, you have to give 180 days. And you have to hold that voucher specifically for that family for 180 days. Because something can change with their
Sure.
income.
Sure.
And after that, it's a done deal.
Okay, all right. Parker, anything else? Any other questions?
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Merry Christmas. Okay.
There's more.
There's more?
Okay, just talk a little bit more about move to work. You all approved the move to work supplement in June, of this year, and nothing has changed since you all approved that. However, HUD has asked us, because of delays with the timing and the software, that we just roll over year 1 into year 2. So nothing's changed. We were one of 10 agencies that were accepted, into the rent study program. And I go for this moving, but we go to this year. And the step rent policy is implemented for a period of 6 years. And we're under this, step rent. Okay, who's included in move to work? Included non-elderly, non-disabled households, current household subsidies, any of our housing choice voucher participants, public housing program for this participants. And those that are excluded, of course, are elderly, disabled, flat rent or zero HAP, special purpose vouchers, homeownership program for participants, and FSS program participants, and Job Plus program participants. I'm gonna just show this quick video that you all didn't see in June. And I think it does an excellent job in explaining the step rent program. It's 3 minutes, it's long. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
So those are our step increases. So basically, a family that lives in a 2-bedroom unit, rent will go up $36 a year, regardless of what their income is. Okay. So it's no longer tied to the income. It's tied to the step. So the thought behind this is that these increases will not need to be reported, so it will allow our residents to be able to save more money. And also, we're only doing recertifications every 3 years, so that's a benefit as well. So, hopefully our residents will save more money and they know every year what their rent is going up to.
To have to self-certify on the.
Every 3 years, yeah.
in
Well,
between.
3 years.
no, nothing in between.
Okay.
Now, they discussed a little bit of the hardships, so, we'll give hardships for those at childcare in excess of 2,500 per year. And also if their rent is over 40% of their income, we will also grant a hardship, for that as well. Now, for that one, they do not have to request that from us. If we see it there, every 3-year or triennial, that they're at 40%, we're gonna go ahead and give them the hardship for that, okay? And they have to reapply for that every 90 days.
Okay.
Now, with the flexibilities of MTW, we're also allowed to do other activities across the board. And so one thing we're looking at is doing a single utility allowance for all structure types. Right now, we have different utilities for garden style, mid-rise, townhouse, single family. This will allow us to have one utility schedule. Also, it will allow us to go up to 150% of the HUD small area fair market rent. That's gonna allow us more flexibility to pay more in rent. Right now, we're at 110%. Once this move to work supplement is approved, we will be looking to move forward 120%. Also, we can conduct our own reasonableness for our properties, and then 3 years recertification for all households. Again, we talked about assets. So now, anybody, as long as their assets are under $50,000, they just certify that that is the case, and that's all they need to do. Okay. So we're not gonna ask for life insurance policy, retirement, a lot of the stuff that we normally do, we don't have to do that anymore. If it's under 50,000 and they certified it, we're good. Landlord incentives, well, that's something we're doing, now. However, we're looking to do an incentive payment of equal to 1 month rent. So that rent is 1,200, and we'll be looking to do a 1 month, incentive or bonus for that 1,200. We'll also conduct inspections on our own properties. Right now, Norfolk does our inspections. So it's a little, time consuming, scheduling it and getting on their schedule and so forth. So now we'll be able to conduct our own inspections. And then, triennial inspections for all of our units. The project-based voucher program, we're looking to have a cap of 50%. That means that up on our housing choice voucher program, up to 50% can be project-based. And then a project cap of 100%. So that means we can project 100% of the units in any one of our projects, like Lexington Seniors. We can make that 100%. We're also looking to eliminate a selection process for PRJ properties. If we own it, we don't have to put out solicitation. We can just go ahead and move forward. And then we're gonna limit choice mobility to 24 months. The goal with that is to, we do a lot of work to get our residents in those units, and to have them move after 1 year, it is a bit much. So we're asking that they stay 2 years, and then we can, at that point, provide them a choice mobility voucher if they choose. Then we're looking at a family independence initiative that is going to replace the FSS program. So we're looking at developing incentives, and this is not in place yet, but we'll be working on it in 2023. Incentive payments for completing goals. So for instance, if they completed a training program, a skill, they would get a amount of money then, a portion of it then. If they graduate from CCC, they would get a portion. Right now, you have to wait until you're completed to get all of the money. So we're looking now to do that in stages.
This still just associated with one property or?
No, this was all property.
Yes.
Up to 10% now, of our HCB budget can be used for development activities. We don't have any plan for 2023, but 10% of our HCB budget can be used for development activities. And then the alternate verification hierarchy, right now, of course, HUD, we have to use the EIB system. Then we can get written or oral third-party verification, so that's employment verification from their employer. And then last, they can do a self-certification. So we had comments, and I'll go through them. They are included in our submission to HUD from the RAD board, and we received comments from legal aid as well. And I don't know, I know they're here, so did you all want to, and I don't steal your thunder? And
Go ahead, you already have a little steel plan.
No, I'll let you, so since they're here, they're going to discuss, their comments in the agency plan as well. But the RAD board comments, I will go through, it was very few. They wanted to know, did, seniors have to participate in MTW? Of course, they don't, they're excluded group. A RAD member asked, will the increase be every year, even though you only report to the authority every 3 years? So yes, we've said that the rents are stepped every year. So even though we're gonna recertify you every 3 years, that rent will go up every 3 years, every year. And then a member asked about provisions for disabled, persons being on the top floor, in our mid-rise, buildings, in an event of a fire. So normally what we do is we try to have those disabled, individuals on the first floor. But sometimes housing is an issue and they want to move, so we're not going to prevent them from taking a unit on the second or third floor. But generally, if they are unable to come down the stairs in the event of a fire, we try to make sure that we can put them on the first floor. They asked, for Lexington seniors, are there gonna be more showers than tubs? Because it's hard for our seniors sometimes to get over those tubs. So we made sure that we put more showers. And then one RAD board member wanted to make sure that there was counseling available for those that wanted to become homeowners. So we do that now. We do provide counseling, homeownership counseling. So those were the comments from the RAD board, and they will be included in the submission to HUD. And then I said I did get some comments from legal aid, and they're here to speak when it's time, and then you can address those comments.
Okay,
So,
I guess,
any questions?
yeah,
Well done.
I'll come back to the commissioners, but I guess I'm gonna have to move the public speakers comment forward to give, we do allow, public speakers to speak 5 minutes on any topic, and since this topic's in front of us, why don't we bring that forward? And, sir, if you could, we are recording, all right? So it is available to the public, so if you could identify yourself, and, if you might want to come a little bit closer, all right? Introduce yourself.
Want me to sit there?
Oh, yes, sir, if that's all right. All right. Thank you very much for finding the time.
Thank you. So I'm Brandon Ballard. I'm an attorney at Legal Aid Society, of Eastern Virginia. So yeah, we frequently represent tenants who are in PRHA owned properties or tenants with housing vouchers. So I think we have some insight to how things work on the ground, sort of. So broadly speaking, we don't oppose everything in the Move to Work initiative, to be clear. I think a lot of it looks great and looks very promising. Just wanted to highlight a few things, and if my comments are included, and I think everyone's materials, and so if anyone has specific questions, that'd be of course great. You can stop me along the way. But I think we mostly focused on just the hardship process and trying to improve that. The fact remains, separate policy, which is approved, it's a done deal. A lot of its effects and how it affects tenants and how successful it is still rather unproven, hence why HUD is doing controlled studies. And maybe it's promising, maybe it's not, but I think in the meantime, there needs to be robust hardship policies for those tenants that are inevitably gonna like lose a job, like have whatever hardship that comes about. And I think there's some simple ways that the hardship process, as currently stated in the PRHA supplement or the Move to Work supplement, can be improved. So first, I think that it's too onerous and unnecessary to require tenants to submit a written request for a hardship. And I know that it's true that in every 3-year mark, there is going to be that time where people's files are going to be reviewed. But I don't think it's necessary during the interim of those 3 years place the burden on tenants. You know, I think obviously most tenants have the wherewithal to do that, but I don't think it's really that hard for management if they see something that makes them think, like, for example, if you're about to evict somebody, oh, maybe they need a hardship request. Part of our concern with that arises just how hardship requests for the minimum rent policies have been implemented or the lack thereof. A lot of times we've seen PHAs move forward to evict folks with minimum rent without considering first whether a hardship exemption applied. So that's just kind of where our concern lies there. And a lot of tenants don't even sometimes know that's a thing they can request. 2, so I think the hardships committee's decision to deny a grant request, just be in writing, that may have been something that's gonna happen. I just noticed that wasn't specified or listed out in the plan. And again, stop me if anyone has any questions or thoughts. 3, I think legal aid's contact information should be included on any decision relating to a hardship exemption. So as currently stated, there's I think 2 levels of review. One is by the first, the committee sees if a hardship is warranted. If it's denied, the tenant has an opportunity to request an informal hearing. I think at that point, it'd be appropriate in that written decision denying that request, in addition to telling them, hey, you have this amount of time to appeal. We recommend at least 10 days. It's another area where I don't think the plan specified that. I think in addition to that, it'd be beneficial for tenants if we just put legal aid's contact information in there. Just like Section 8 voucher termination hearings and so on, I think it'd be beneficial to have the right to counsel in the situation. And it bears mentioning, we do sometimes advise tenants, no, you can't get this thing. And it sometimes saves you guys some time. So it can be a win-win in those situations. And sometimes tenants just need a neutral party to explain what's going on.
So where is legal aid mentioned? Because I agree with you, legal aid should be one of the first things. If you're upon eviction, somewhere down at the bottom, legal aid should be there. Where is it now?
So to be clear,
Okay,
It's on our notice for the.
Oh, right, so
Yes.
to be very,
so it's there.
Yes.
yeah, to be absolutely clear, we're speaking to the hardship committee's decisions, whether to grant or deny a hardship exemption.
But beyond that, it's already there.
It's there through the eviction termination notice, but ideally,
Alright.
sorry.
That was the
Okay.
question.
Ideally, like I think, and the plan kind of nods at this, I believe that before proceeding to evict a tenant, PRHA is supposed to consider whether hardship applies in some shape or form. I think one thing that would be beneficial in addition to what I just mentioned is just checking the EIV system to see if a hardship is warranted, maybe their income's changed. And if it has, just going ahead and granting that. EIV being Enterprise Income Verification System. It's not,
It's a delay in EID, so we
there
can,
is,
right, so.
So it's not always
we
correct.
Find out it's either too late
It's never
or they
correct.
switch jobs or we don't know, so
Right.
that's why we look for the tenant to tell us and not just wait for EID.
right, and so, well, sometimes the information is more up to date though. And I mean, obviously, it's not always up to date, and sometimes it's even erroneous.
Never up to date.
It's, yeah, it's per quarter, so it's like a quarter behind.
It's always a
It's like-
quarter behind.
Mm.
Always.
Always a quarter behind, so I think, well, I still think though, that maybe just sufficient outreach needs to be given to the tenant, kind of like just alert them to their right to do that, to just kind of start that process up front. That I just mentioned before. So
But that goes back to my original, it's already there.
it's not
They don't
already
have late
there.
notice. So if they late. then-
This is talking about the hardship exemption. So the way I view the policy or how it should be implemented is you shouldn't just like issue a termination notice to move to work tenants when they're behind on rent. I think first what should happen is they should get a notice saying, hey, we've noticed you're behind on rent. Before issuing a termination notice, we want to inform you, you have a right to request a hardship. Here's a list of those hardships. Like, like please come to the office, talk it out with them.
So we're gonna have extensive, through the enrollment process, we will do training with the residents, so they will know, and the participants, how they can request a hardship, when they can request a hardship. So we're gonna do a very detailed orientation with them. on that.
Right. And I mean, and that's great. I just know there's gonna be many tenants that are many or just some tenants, nonetheless, some tenants are gonna fall through the cracks and,
Or do you want to
Like-
include it in the late notice, maybe? What are you saying?
yeah. So, to be clear then, I'm talking about the hardship notice and not like the termination eviction notice. Okay.
Fair enough.
And then also, I know that, at the hearing Monday, I believe this was said orally, I just think it should be in the plan. I don't think leasing office employees should be on the hardship committee. Obviously, I'm not saying there's any actual bias ever. I just think the fact remains a lot of tenants sometimes are distrustful of management. I think it's just worth having someone, just like you would with a hearing officer in that Section 8 voucher termination hearing. So that's
A
all.
neutral person.
A neutral, right.
Who would you recommend?
Well, I mean, there's really already policies in place, like there, for example, like as far as like what PRHA does with hearing officers. In other words, like they just ensure that no one in management is the hearing officer and no one that's below the person that made the decision to terminate the voucher oversees the hearing. So that there's kind of already that pool of people, I would imagine, that go to.
So would that exclude a board member?
I
don't think we should.
No, board
No,
members.
it was a question.
Board
That
members are
exclude a
normally
board
not involved.
I mean, so my main concern is just with people having everyday, day-to-day interactions. So,
Like a resident council.
right, well,
Something.
yeah.
Another staff person that's not working or maybe.
Well, that
That's
was
the
my
thing.
question.
Can I say something? Based on where I came from with MTW reverse assessment. Process that we have here, took that model from the first original housing authority, was 39, and used that. That process works very well. It works extremely well, and it moves stuff along in a professional
Gotcha,
way.
gotcha. But I think the comments are useful here. Well, let's finish the comments here
Yeah.
and then let's,
Right, and
Okay.
so, all we're saying, I think there's some ways that it can be improved or clarified in some areas. Because again, the HUD operations notice gives PHS the authority to kind of play around with these hardship exemptions and make more improvements. I'm going to I mean, my comments are here. I'm gonna like kind of move on from those really briefly and just kind of move to, as was recently discussed, the Move to Work program. And this can be really good, actually. Okay. PHAs are given like lots of discretion with how they spend their money. Usually there's like, broadly speaking, of course, like 3 pots of money. You can't commingle. You have one for housing choice vouchers, one for, you know, public housing. It's there. Move to Work, you can commingle and kind of be flexible and you know, spend your funds and so on. But fact remains, some PHAs, like I know Chicago is one example everyone always gives, have used that to build up their reservoirs and funding, unbeknownst to advocates and tenants, and not use that where it should be going, which is extra vouchers and like, and again, a lot of these plans I'm promising, but I think it'd be useful to every quarter, whenever you support your data, submit your data to HUD or some quarterly process and throughout the year, if a plain language summary of what PRHA is doing with its new funding flexibility every quarter, or whatever thing makes sense for you guys. I think that'd be useful. So again, we also made some suggestions to the overall administrative plan and the ACOP. Broadly speaking, I'll just point to the supplement on that. I included in the supplement, I believe, appendix 4, the rent reminder policy implemented by a PHA in Oregon. Basically sending 2 reminder notices before termination notice is even considered. I think that just fosters more, I think it just gives tenants more encouragement to cooperate, management, and how to get ahead and how to get back on track. Instead of a termination notice that kind of fosters fear and so on. Yeah, it's been implemented there, it's been very successful, so I'll just submit that for everyone to think about. As far as repayment agreements go, currently, especially with public housing, generally 50% down payments required unless tenants can show undue hardship. In practice, how it's really done is you get 50% no matter what. I think if there's gonna be a down payment, then it should be at most 10% personally. That's 50% is just kind of assuring that these tenants can't even enter the plan, just from practical experience. And I know there's lots of thoughts out there about what has and hasn't happened with the rent relief program, and oh, these tenants have taken advantage of the system and they're just going out on all these vacations and there's so much rental debt because they were irresponsible. From my experience, that's not the majority of the tenants we represent. Like, can I point you to like a couple? Maybe, sure, but like that's not the majority of people I represent. A lot of them are still just struggling to recover from the pandemic. And a lot of them, again, the rent relief portal, they timely submitted their applications to the rent relief portal. They justifiably rely on it. And for whatever reason, for a variety of reasons, their application was never approved. So, and on top of that, obviously inflation costs are high. So I think putting in place more reasonable payment policies that encourage them to get back on track would be useful. Again, like we're gonna have a down payment requirement at most 10%. And doing it currently, I believe it's recommended that everything be paid off in a year, maybe just temporarily suspending that.
I need you to just wrap it up.
Yep.
Please.
Look, and I'll just end on one thing I think would probably be an area we could all work together on. As everyone probably knows, like July 2020, General Assembly passed source of income discrimination protections. Landlords can no longer refuse to rent to tenants solely because they are using a Section 8 voucher. From our experience, tenants are still unaware of this protection, so maybe PRHA could just start the leasing up process for voucher tenants, telling tenants about that, telling them if you see, here's a list of the typical violations. If you see something, like say something, even maybe contact legal aid. We're currently litigating several cases with these kinds of issues. So I think that's something we could actually, that's definitely one thing I wanted to add, because I think we could partner on that part, so. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. These comments are all included before. I think they were excellent comments, and I appreciate that. And we are all excited, 30,000 foot view about the prospects of MTW. Just so some of the board members who've been here, not been here, we actually recovered. There was pieces put into the local newspaper to let the citizens of Portsmouth know that we're moving to MTW. We've had off-site meetings at Seaboard, Phoebus, Hamilton, Dale, Lexington and with the RAB board to make sure they all knew that MTW is coming. And of course, we've all solicited any comments that tenants would want to have. So I know we're excited, and the comments were great. I think the comments were right on, and I think there's a lot of things, and we are evolving. There's no doubt about it. And the hardship thing, we are concerned about it right now because of the evictions coming out of COVID. So we've got a lot of learning to do. Right. I'm going to keep on going with the public speakers. Is there any more public speakers? You have 5 minutes to speak if you'd like to speak, sir.
And before we go,
Yes, sir.
full disclosure, I know this gentleman actually invited me tonight because he didn't know that we existed
That's right.
as far as public speaking.
Good, good. Sean, is there anybody you don't know in Sean? Oh, of course, that's right. I know everybody, of course. And it's good seeing you again. Thank you.
How you doing? My name is Darrell Redmond. I run an organization, Get Back to the Block, and do a lot of violence reduction in the city. I came tonight to talk about, I know the shelters got grant dealing with violence reduction, bringing in violence reduction to the community. But see how we can partner with that, find out how we can move forward with that. I do a lot with that. We have been successful in the community, actually partnered with Noah, we did the London Oaks community, which is not a PRHA community,
Right.
which we brought the violence down there, we just supported them by utilizing this interruption. Because a lot what's happening inside communities now is that a lot of times people focus on prevention for so long. But what we know now that the people that's committing crime is the 5 to 7% of people inside the city. So if you don't do intervention work, then the prevention work doesn't work. So what's happening now is the ones that we're trying to prevent, now they're 15, 16, 17 years old now. They're in the state that, what are we doing now? So we have to get into that cycle. And that comes with a lot of training and understanding how to actually engage in intervention. And not just saying we're doing intervention, because a lot of people are saying that they're doing this intervention work. They can't even tell you what intervention is. How do you actually do intervention? And people haven't been trained in doing it. With anything that you're going to execute properly, it needs to be a training, it needs to be executed correctly in regards to reducing this, because public safety is essential. And if we want to create a holistic approach to public safety, we have to have all hands on deck. We have to have the community, we have to have the grassroots, we have to have the government, we have to have all this together working collectively if we're going to create this sense of community and public safety inside there. And I want to be a part of the initiative, and that's something that y'all back there.
Sir, and have we had any conversations with you at all? Have you met with Mr. Bland at all? Or
He's been on our meetings that we've
Good.
been putting together,
Excellent.
subcommittees for each of the
Excellent.
elements, and he's
Excellent.
participated in the meetings.
And we have just recently created a safety committee here for the board. And this is the type of feedback we're looking for. And no doubt the programs, and you and I have crossed paths a dozen times in the community. I'm impressed with what you're doing, your passion, your sincerity. And we have close to 12,000 folks in the city of Portsmouth live in public housing. We have almost 3,000 families that we're supporting in public housing. We talked about it last month that we've had 11 shootings, deaths in our public housing in the last 3 years. And we are very concerned about any disturbance, domestic assault, anything that we can mitigate. But it's all going to start with Dolores and Mr. Bland, as you were doing. Can we get at the front end instead of at the back end? It's not going to do us any good at the back end. So thanks. And we promise we will work. Dolores, right?
Yes,
And Mr. Bland? Good. All right. Thank you. Sir, thank you very much. All right.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else? Sir,
What's the name of your organization again?
Get back to the block.
yep.
Like I say on the shirt.
Anybody else? All right, let's move on to the, get back to the agenda. My comments, chair comments. Again, yes, sir. Yeah, I'll get to it. Yes, sir, get to it. I'm sorry. Again, met with the resident advisory board. I thought that was, I personally attended that meeting because I wanted to make sure the residents saw that we are concerned about what they have to say. Mr. Bland and I attended the Portsmouth partnership meeting. I thought it was a good meeting, a lot of good things. The partnership is very leaning forward now that we've had a change in leadership in the city council. And we're hoping that it causes some changes for us. A lot of discussions about the casino that's coming up. It's going to be opened on January the 15th. Just so y'all know, I don't know if we're going to get an invite, but they are inviting certain people to go there on January the 10th. and January the 12th for kind of a soft opening. The proceeds from those 2 nights are going to go to the Wesley Community Center, to the CHKD, and also to the USO of Hampton Roads in Central Virginia. So they are, obviously, the casino is making a pitch to get involved in the community, and we really appreciate them coming aboard. So just kind of be flexible in case we do get an invite from it's going to be through the Portsmouth Partnership that it comes to
I
us.
was putting it out there.
I definitely want to go.
Told us to come too.
It's 3 of us.
Well, those of y'all that have big money, I'm sure they will invite you. The casino grand opening on the 10th and the 12th, but we are hoping for good things. But just with that, then Mr. Bland, he said that I have to present the resolution. Yes, sir. So resolution 2022. Is there any more discussions at all about the move to work or the agency plan at all from the commissioners? Okay, all right. Resolution 2022-60, resolution adopting the Portsmouth Development and Housing Authority's annual agency plan for fiscal year 2023 and the approval of moving to work supplement. I need a motion.
Motion approved.
Second, good. Ms. Marshall?
Commissioner Cost,
Yes.
Commissioner Morgan,
Yes.
Commissioner Pickens,
Yes.
Commissioner Prince.
Yes.
Commissioner Wright,
Yes.
Vice Chair Wicks,
Yes.
Chair Lalonde.
Yes. I don't see our 2 council liaisons, Councilman Battle or Councilman Barnes here. Hopefully, as we move into 2023, we can have a council rep here for once. Say again, sir?
Can you say that again?
Yes, I'd like to, we haven't seen a council rep here in probably a good 10 months, if not longer. The last time I saw one was Councilman Battle. He stayed for about 5 minutes and left. All right, so we really do need that liaison with the council. Again, impressed with what we're doing in 2022. So I want to show off when we get the council folks here. Committee remarks. Pickens, did you want to take it? Do you want me to take it? Finance, yeah. We met, Mr. Pickens and I met with the Chief Financial Officer, Mr. Reyes, earlier. We are closing in, but are of course very frustrated that we have not been able to get from our auditor the financial reports for fiscal year 20 and fiscal year 21. I know when I was at the governor's conference in Richmond, I personally met with the folks at Cohen Resnick. They keep on giving me, shortage of personnel. They'll get to it. I know Mr. Bland and Mr. Reyes have called at least twice in the last week. And we're hoping, not gonna say there's resolution, but I just want to put on y'all's plate that there is a concern that we haven't got our 20 and 21 audit. Now, that's us. Again, being at the Covers Conference, I must have talked to another half a dozen housing authorities that also said they haven't gotten theirs either. So I hear all the stuff about COVID. I just can't say, hey, that's okay. Because as you know, our number one responsibility is the finances of the organization. With that, we're going to be presenting the budget for approval next month. So we'll look for the 2023 budget. All right. Ms. Reyes, Ms. Bland, did you have any comments at all on finance before I move on?
Only thing money wise, we're very healthy. Ray, you want to talk with that?
Yes, I completed originally the budget, and we have enough resources to include a modest pay raise. I'll let Mr. Bland decide the amount. It seems to be doing pretty well financially.
Okay, thank you. Good. You're good, right? Development? Yes, ma'am, that's you.
Okay, so we finalized the contracts with, 2 general contractors that will build single family homes and PRHA owned lots. We will work with them to build on current vacant lots. We own and support of home ownership initiative. We also working with the realty property on the sale of 2400 Portsmouth Boulevard for their plan to build homes for PRHA clients in January 2023. We also finalized the contract with Harvey Lindsay to sell commercial lots owned by PRHA. We are anticipating a market plan for 3 commercial properties that PRHA owns. Also, we have the final draft of the plan for the 2023 capital improvements to the Westboro properties and Seaboard Square properties, and expect to have the design stage complete by early January. The plans, include significant updates to the interiors at Westbury, the kitchens and bathrooms, and mostly exterior improvements to the property at Seaboard Square.
Thank you. Thank you. Human Resources?
Yeah, Commissioner Wright. Commissioner Wright, sorry.
Human Resources?
Yeah, I spoke with, Mr. Bland earlier. Commissioner Wright and myself have not met. We'd like to do that in the beginning of January. I had mentioned that personally and other boards that I've met with, I think it would be, proactive not to have Mr. Bland necessarily on the board, seeing as he's the administrator, and that we could act independently. And that, beyond that, we need to move beyond just the book that we have. So hopefully in January, we'll present something, better and.
We do have some models that
Good.
we need to share amongst each other.
Yeah. But yeah, it just, if it's HR needs to be independent, then, you know,
Okay.
brick and mortar, so.
Okay. Any objection? Since we've
Yeah,
talked,
please.
since we've talked about pay raises for the employees are gonna be talked about in the budget, and we have it for 2023. One of the folks that's not covered by the budget for pay raises is the executive director. That has to be an independent discussion that we have. Are we okay to go into closed session next month to talk about?
And that
pay
was
raise?
part of the HR issue.
Pay raise?
Yeah.
Go into, so I got a head nod, we go into closed session next month, talk about pay raise or pay raises or
Well,
bonuses.
you need to take that amongst everybody else.
Yeah, just want to make sure we got a head, just a head nod. I'm looking for a vote. Okay, all right, thank you. Housing?
The update from housing, the Housing Choice Voucher Program is continuing to work with our Swanson Home residents to relocate. Households that have requested vouchers have received briefing and are continuing to search for housing. Although the housing department was notified on the 14th of October, 2022, the rental release program will no longer assist residents with the outstanding rent balances, and we are currently working with residents by offering a repayment agreement. However, if the residents do not request a repayment agreement, we will file for an unlawful detainment.
United Way, I thought United Way had a program. Do we refer folks to United Way for rent relief, any type of rent relief?
They, not that I'm aware of it, I don't know if
Okay.
they have a program, I'm
They don't have one
I'm
now?
not aware of it.
Okay.
I know
Is there-
the stop was doing it one time with the rent, relief, but they are
Yeah.
not doing that anymore.
So do we know of any agency, outside agency, Catholic Charities, anybody out there that we can refer folks to?
Social services they have.
For
Yeah.
kids, FOR kids.
There's a national one, and I don't have it on the top, but there's one out there.
Okay.
One or two out there.
Well, who we gonna task to find that out?
Well, I'll look into that, but
Okay, thanks.
there's a couple that are out there.
Thanks.
Not sure if that
If there's something out there, we need to find it.
If you know about it, just let us know.
Well, I was gonna say, I'm not sure that because we're HUD and national, that it negates one or the other.
Did
But
legal
I'll
aid have
check.
any, that you could recommend since you're present?
We're looking, a lot of funds are dried up. I've seen Catholic Charities, some other, like Salvation Army help with security deposits and application fees, but
Yeah, now that COVID's over, everybody's kind of like getting.
I know, I hear stuff, but I haven't seen anything, you know, I know I'm part of the American Legion, if they're a veteran, they'll slip, you know, they'll take care of them for, as you said, security deposits and some public utilities, that's fine. If we just hear anything, just make sure we get that to the staff, so at least they know if anybody's out there, but, it's drying up real quick.
I have a question on your, PRH, we say CRHA, sorry, PRHA's website. Do you have anywhere on the website where we have all those resources where we're actually putting that kind of information out? Let's say For Kids does have, we have them on the website, links to.
If we're made aware of them, I know that the city's homeless hotline, I believe that's up there, but that's for those that are actually homeless. But if there are any resources, then we can certainly put the links on our website and let residents know.
Yeah,
We just
I think that's just been like one of those places that people actually go. You know, whether we have Instagram account here or Facebook, we need to make sure that we're putting that information out and as much as possible.
All right, governance, that's Renee and I,
Question,
but
question.
we're just gonna move forward with, I'm sorry, yes, something, Renee?
Yeah, for housing. I tried to look up the PIH notice that shows the, like, the repayment agreement for 50% down. I didn't see a guidance on that. It said little less than 40%.
It's
Um,
different, right? It's
right.
different.
Well,
I couldn't find it.
Retro rent, you are not allowed to go over 40% of their income. That's certainly the retro, but not, but we can charge it, but as far as I'm aware, the 50%. The 40% with their income, their rent can't exceed the 40% is those for that did not report income to us, and they're considered retro rent.
Right.
That's specifically for that.
But didn't
So
HUD gave language to
Right.
the calculation that you have to use.
For the
That's in that, but I don't think, I'm not sure 50%, I won't say for certain, but I'm not sure that 50% is that something that they allow us to do.
So,
To have that family to come up with 50% upfront.
Yeah, I tried to look. Only thing I saw, like, they, we calculated about 30% of the income. And they said we only can charge an extra 10%, which would be 40%. I didn't see anything. in
And
it.
then you can carry it out for like 3 years. Am I
Right,
correct? 'Cause
right.
we both looked at that notice and yeah.
the note, which notice are you referring to, PIH?
I was trying to file a notice that
Okay.
said we can ask for that amount.
We could definitely look at that, because we want to make sure we're not, outside of HUD guidelines.
Definitely. I think
would
we have
definitely
to, I can,
But the one I most recently read spoke with the retro rent for those that did not report the income.
Mhm.
It did not specify for those that just did not pay their rent. It certainly said retro rent, but I can certainly look at that.
on the LIPH side.
The PIH notice that came out.
Okay,
Yes.
but was that in reference to the LIPH side or HCB side? Do you, let's take a look
I'm
at it.
hearing this needs to be looked at.
Yeah,
Let's
Let's
look
take
at
a
it. Let's
look
look
at
at
it.
it. Okay.
We'll go back and
Bring it
we'll
back.
find it
And bring it
because we
back.
actually
Okay.
looked at it. We'll bring it back
Okay.
and get it to you.
Okay, did security meet?
We haven't, we need to get to that because that was new as of last month
Okay, sir.
and I'm on it. Who's the other? Yeah, we need to set up
Okay.
a,
All right, sir. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
well, with that said, I'd also like to, who is our HR people that are here now? Because I think we need to, no, our actual HR.
Oh,
Staff.
Yeah, I think that
That's
someone
fine.
from
He's not at the meeting.
No, I'm saying someone from HR, doesn't
Sure.
matter if it's the lead.
Mhm.
But I think after we get together, we need to be with that individual.
Yeah, set that up for you.
Okay.
Okay.
So we'll do a group.
Sounds good.
When it comes to security, I had a talk with the new IT director for the city, Cliff Hayes, all right? And expressed our concern of the broadband, the pipeline of our cameras going to the police department, all right? He talked a lot about what the city's doing, and I appreciate that. I just told him I'm concerned about what we got right now, and it's not working well. But he wanted, just so y'all know, the city's next initiative right now is where the individual police cars, the feed will go into the computers in the police cars, all right? I think that's great, right? But I am still concerned about the pipe. The actual hookup to the city is just not where we need it to be, right? So, okay. Ms. Bland, you're up.
Just a couple items. We're looking at a 5% raise for our employees for January, which is in the budget. We have enough money to do that. So we're looking for 5%, do a 5% raise for the employees. We will close on the 23rd of December and open back up January the 3rd. The 3rd. Normally, we've been, since 2017, we've been kind of closing down, giving the employees what you call a mental break, so they can come back refreshed for the next year. And that has worked very well. And to the point that they look forward to it happening all the time. And also we was able to give the employees a small bonus for this Christmas holiday, and they will be getting that like we did in the previous years. So they are very excited, and they are hoping that we can continue to be able to do that for many years going forward.
Yeah, the two things I had held up for last time, evictions. How many do we have in the courts that we're working with right now?
Well, so far, we only have filed 71 in court, and of that 71, some have paid, some have not. And actually, depending on, some of them may not come up before the court until either January or February. So something like that. although we have a large balance out. Back, I think I gave you a copy back in November, we had about $600,000 out in unpaid rents, which is, that's a lot for an agency this size. Compared to, talking to some of my counterparts. And I can tell you, rest of a lot of the housing authority have been very aggressive in filing in court. We have not, we've been trying to work with the families. But right now, like I'm saying, we got 71 in court, and if we will continue at that pace of filing like we've been filing, we wouldn't get the last folks in court until December 2024, which is just too long. Yeah, so we will be working with them to encourage them, sending them wherever they can get money to go ahead and bring the accounts, with the house.
The RAB had a concern about when the agency goes on stand down like that the emergency number that they have for maintenance requests, that is aggressively
Yeah.
monitored during the holiday.
Yes, same number that they call after 5 o'clock. It's the same phone number. We have maintenance staff that work those hours during the day and at night. So
And the
we're
man
still-
knows to look at the logs, because we get the zip right emails, the emergency calls that come in, so they monitor. it.
But part of that issue is his hands on deck, and obviously, we know that we don't
Yes,
have
sir.
a lot of hands.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And again, as I think I told you all, I'm still making the regular rounds at Dale and Lexington. All right, it's a quiet month. Okay, you know, it's not great, but it's still quiet. Mine is all visual, all right? The trash looks like tenants are getting a little bit better and picking up the trash. I don't know if y'all know it. We have somebody that walks around every single day to pick up trash at Dale. I don't know why people just throw stuff out of their cars. I mean, I saw one guy, and he was just toss it right out the window, all right? It's just sad. I mean, I know we're doing the best we can. We spent a lot of money on just trash pickup. All right. I'm gonna go around the table here.
We did have a comment about hardship. I listened to legal aid, and I know that, all the rents are based on a person's income. So when they are having a hardship, I should tell them, they are usually the first people to come and tell their manager that they are having a hardship. So they know it first, and they usually tell their managers first, so. Usually by the time they get that unlawful detainer, I guess, that's when they really decide, I guess, that they need their help. So I guess they need to know why didn't they, what came up in their finances that they were not able to actually pay their rent, since it's based on that. So I think that would help to find out what else is going on in their household or with their finances to help, so that they don't get an unlawful detainer.
Do we have social work inside this facility?
Yes, we have, the loss department.
Case managers in her department.
Sir.
Sir, Ms. Wright?
So that would be,
We have financial, education, budgeting.
and excuse my ignorance, because I didn't know that the social work was included in that.
Yes, ma'am.
So I apologize for that.
Let's go this way. Steph? Ms. Pickens?
Happy holidays to everyone. Because this will be the last time we get to see each other until the new year. But outside of that.
We got a party tomorrow night. If y'all can make it.
Twinkle too.
Yeah, Sean?
No,
Yeah.
No,
go, we're going that way.
yeah.
White chairs, white chairs. Oh,
Come around this way.
We're that way.
okay. Ms. Goss?
Yeah, I did actually.
Ms. Goss?
I guess I can pick it back over there by the social work. Usually social work, always kind of fall on the FSS, or it's never really available that I saw to people who were on the program. So I guess try to make that more available to everybody, not just FSS participants. And on happy holidays.
Well, on a personal note, I'm gonna say two things. First of all, I'm very grateful for where I'm at today with this group of people. Because I think that we continue to do a great thing, in regards to our homes and the people we deal with. And I shared with one other, my sister tried to commit suicide today. Well, no, it wasn't meant for that, but she tried to commit suicide today. A lot of the people that we deal with, in regards to what Commissioner Morgan just said, we don't know what's going on in the everyday dealings. So, though we can't be police, we can't be social workers, we can't be moms and dads. One thing my mom used to say, God bless her soul, it's a village. So it takes all of us to do what we can do, when we can do it, how we can do it. So all I say is, as a commissioner, for however long I'm still here, and just a fellow villager, let's just be there for each other. Let's do as much as we can for each other, because you don't know what you did do, what you didn't do, or what you could do. So
Thanks, sir.
I'm off of my, yeah.
Vice Chair.
No, I have nothing except happy holidays, everyone.
Yeah, I wish everybody a safe, happy holidays. Get a chance, commissioners, do a flyby tomorrow night. Is that right, tomorrow night? At Roger Brown's, the employees are getting together at 7 o'clock for their annual soiree.
Dances are welcome. I'll be ready.
Please adjourn. Thank you.
Food over there.
Can you just give us a couple of minutes so Denise can finish setting up? And then just give us like a couple of minutes and then we'll set.
Or see if you had been here.
I'm trying to pop them. I know you're.
Thanks.
In case you want to
I
share.
think don't let them know. I told you
AJ.
I'm looking for
Thanks for that. See you again.
Dr. Keeler.
Yeah, thank you.
So do you listen?
You're pro.
We enjoy it.
I always.
Jump the blocks. They got the best.
Not here, Kaylee. I know where you're going. I just want to.